What is up, everybody? Today's lesson focus is going to be on graphing inequalities. We'll obviously still touch on solving inequalities because to be able to graph, we need to be able to solve. So just as a little activator here, I want you to match these four inequalities to these four graphs. Again, the notes that you should already have: open circles are for less than and greater than, closed circles for less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. So pause the video at this time and see if you can match up your graphs. All right, here we go. So this top left one, we have x is greater than 2. Or if I think about it, the alligator is eating the x, so I'm looking for numbers that are greater. I know that numbers are greater go to the right, so I know it's either going to be this green one or this red one. Then I think to myself, what symbol is just greater than? Just greater than would be an open circle, so this x is greater than 2 would be an open circle going to the right, showing all numbers greater than 2, like 3, 4, 5, going in that direction forever. The top right one, we have x is less than 2. So again, I know that I'm using an open circle. The only one that has an open circle left is this one in black. Again, less than numbers are always to the left of a number. So if I was looking for numbers less than 2, I'd be looking for numbers like 1, 0, -1, all the way to negative infinity. Then our bottom two, the one on the left, well, we have x is greater than or equal to 2. So now we're using a closed filled in circle to denote that that is exactly 2 and all the numbers to the right of it that are greater than 2. And then obviously our last one, x is less than or equal to -2. Again, it's going to be a closed filled in circle because it's 2 and all the numbers that are less than 2, 1, 0, and all the negative known numbers in the universe. So again, if you can solve the inequalities and you can graph, you're in good shape for this lesson. All right, just to kind of start off, we want to be able to read inequalities, determine whether or not we're using open and closed circles, and we're going to use solution sets really to help us out with graph when we go to do our graph. So this first one on the left, we have m is greater than or equal to -5. We would read that as m as greater than or equal to -5. The first thing I want to think about is, especially if I think about a number line, may help a lot of us when we go to use the negatives. I know that -5 is here on my number line, and I know 0 would be to the right of that. We are looking for numbers that are greater than. Greater than numbers always go to the right. So if I want the first number that is to the right of -5, or that's equal to -5, I would start at -5. Then the first number, the first integer that is to the right of -5, that would be greater than -5, would be -4 and -3. So again, if you struggle with your negatives, I would highly recommend that you plot them on a number line. Always use 0 to help you kind of just figure out where you're at on the number line, and then determine the numbers that you need. This second one, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, especially when that variable's on the right side. We would read this as 12 is less than m. Again, if you need to use a number line to help you with this, by all means, set up a number line, set up where 12 is, and I know 0 would be to the left of that. Now, this is saying that 12 is less than m. So I need numbers that are actually going to be bigger than m. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because yes, this is a less than symbol, but again, if you think about what the shark is eating, if shark is eating the m has to be bigger than 12. So again, I know that larger numbers are always to the right of a number. So the first number that is going to be larger than 12 is going to be 13, 14, and 15. And again, if I take these answers and I plug them back in and say the inequality, they should remain true. 12 is less than 13. True. 12 is less than 14. That is true. 12 is less than 15. Also true. If all three numbers in your solution set are true, then we are 100% correct. Again, when I went to go use these, would they be open or closed circles? Well, the one on the left, m is greater than or equal to -5. This one would have a closed filled in circle because of the or equal to. And then the other one where we have 12 is less than m, that would be an open circle. So again, some people use solution sets to help them with graphs. Some people use graphs to help them with solution sets. But again, it is important that you're not only able to solve these, but you're able to read them, solution set, and graph. All right, here's a couple examples that I'm going to go through everything with you. I'm going to solve it, I'm going to write a solution set, and then I'll eventually graph them down below. So again, the first thing that I want to do is always break these into a left side, right side. through the inequality sign. So I have 12 minus 1m is greater than 16. Again, the first thing after I break it into a left side, right side is I want to find my variable. Do I have a negative coefficient? Yes, I do. If we think back, what happens when we have a negative coefficient? Eventually, I'm going to be dividing by -1 in this problem. And again, anytime I multiply or divide by a negative coefficient, I have to flip my inequality sign. So to even set up this problem, I drop down my variable, it stays on the left side, and I realize that I'm going to have to flip my inequality at the end. So I went ahead and did that, and now I have everything waiting for me. Now all I have to do is solve. Again, I have to get rid of the positive 12 to start getting negative n by itself. How do I get rid of a positive 12? I subtract 12 from both sides. The 12s will cancel out. I drop down -1 times n. 16 minus 12 is 4. But again, 4 is not going to be part of my answer because I still have -n. Now I'm dividing by -1. And again, this step in green, this is why the inequality flips. Because I'm dividing by -1, and 4 divided by -1 would be -4. So our solution, our inequality, would be n is less than -4. Now again, I've got to think to myself, how could I set this up for success to be able to graph and solution set? So the first thing I'm going to do, since it's dealing with a negative, is think about where I'm at on a number line. So again, I know that my boundary is -4. I also know that 0 is going to be the right of a -4 because 0 is the right of all negative numbers. Now, the shark is eating the -4. So if -4 is bigger, that means n needs to be smaller. I know that all numbers to the left are less than. I also know that since it's just a less than symbol in this problem, it's going to have an open circle. Now I know the graph. The graph is going to the right. The first number that is to the right of -4 is -5 and -6. So I could say that my solution set starts at -5, -6, and -7. I'm not including -4 because it's n is less than, not less than or equal to. So again, we solve, we can solution set or graph depending on how that helps you with an open or closed circle. That is all 3 steps. Okay, the second example I have here on the right, the same rules apply. I'm going to break it into a left side, right side. I'm going to find my variable. Now I have a positive 2n. I know that when I divide by +2, my inequality symbol is not going to flip, but my variable needs to stay on the right side. So I already know that my answer is going to be less than or equal to n. Now I can go back through and solve. What's being done to 2 times n? It's being added by 8, so the first mathematical step would be to subtract 8. 32 minus 8 is 24. I drop down my 2 times n. Again, I'm dividing by +2. This is why it is not going to flip, because I am dividing by a positive coefficient. 24 divided by 2 would be 12. So my inequality solution would be 12 is less than or equal to n. Now again, I'm going to do a solution set first on this one. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently. 12 is less than or equal to n. Well, I said or equal to, so I already know that 12 is going to be a part of that solution set. Now, even though this is a less than sign, if I think about what's going on, 12 is less than the other numbers, or the alligator is eating the variable, meaning this variable needs to be bigger than 12. The first number that is bigger than 12 would be 13 and 14. And again, when I go to graph it, here's my graph. I know that my graph starts at 12. This time it's going to be a closed filled in circle, and I know that 13 and 14 and all the numbers larger than 12 are to the right of it. So this would be a closed filled in circle with a graph going to the right in the direction of my solution set. So again, we always solve first. If you need to use the 3 numbers to help you with the graph, that's great. If you need to use the the graph to help you with the 3 numbers, that's okay too. It all depends on what works for you. So at this point, I would give these 2 problems a try. Pause the video, see how you're doing with them. They're very similar to the 2 that I just went over. When you're ready, unpause the video and we'll see how you did. Okay, so let's check these ones out. So this first one, 5 times a minus 14 is greater than or equal to 46. So again, break it into a left side, right side, find my variable, coefficient, and any symbols that matter. I see that I have a positive 5a. I know that if this inequality is not going to flip. So I'm going to have a is greater than or equal to some number. To find that number, I need to get rid of minus 14 by adding 14 to both sides. The 14s cancel out. I have 5a, 46 plus 14 is equal to 60. I still have to get rid of my 5 times a by dividing each side by 5, and 60 divided by 5 would be 12. So again, it doesn't matter if you did the solution set or the graph first. I'm going to do my graph first on this one. So I know that my graph's going to start at 12. I know that it's going to be a filled in circle. And since I know that it is a is greater than or equal to 12, I know that the alligator's eating a. That means a has to be bigger, meaning these numbers need to go to the right. Again, the first number that is to the right of 12 that is greater than or equal to 12 is 12 itself, then 13, and then 14, and all the positive numbers going after it. So again, if you're able to solve, you should be by now be able to start being able to solution set and graph. As far as the second example goes, again, same deal. I'm going to break it into a left side, right side. I have 9 is less than 11 minus 1x. So again, now I see I do have a negative coefficient. So I know that my inequality sign is going to flip from less than to greater than. And my variable is going to stay on the right side. So I know it's going to be some number greater than x. Again, I go back to the problem. What's being done to negative x? It has a positive 11 on the same side. In order to get rid of that positive 11, I am subtracting 11. 9 minus 11 is negative 2, but be careful, that's what negative x is. Again, I'm dividing by negative 1 to clear out my negative 1x, and negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2. So you should have gotten 2 is greater than, when I go to graph this, I need to have my graph starting at 2, and then I need to think to myself, okay, what symbol do I need? What circle do I need? I have greater than symbol, so I know it's going to be an open circle. Now I've got to think to myself, 2 is greater than x. 2 is bigger than x. Well, if 2 is greater than x because, if 2 is bigger because the alligator's eating the 2, that means x needs to be smaller. I know that less than numbers run to the left. And again, when I do my solution set, the first number that is to the left of 2 would be 1, 0, and negative 1. Remember, when I plug these numbers back in, they should remain true. 2 is greater than 1, true. 2 is greater than 0, true. 2 is greater than negative 1, true. If all your numbers in your solution set are true, then you have a correct answer. Okay, so at this point, get into your classwork, and if you have any questions, make sure you get your help.